Hey, hi all. So this is my first stream. Welcome to the stream, guys. So the idea behind these live streams are basically I'm gonna stream my learnings regarding coding, DevOps, AIML, not AIML, basically MLOps you can say, and DevOps and cloud related stuff. And so I'm gonna do my learning stuff in the live stream and follow along the learning path. Okay, so that's the basic agenda of the this particular stream or streams you can say, and also this is not a scripted one, so I'm just going on the way or on the air you can say. So today I'm gonna follow through this particular article from DigitalOcean. So it basically explain how to structure a large Flask application with Flask blueprints and Flask alchemy. So what I'm gonna do is okay, I have to just follow through this particular article. So let's start with the article itself. So it is saying, okay, so let's start from paragraph first. Flask is a lightweight Python web application framework. Okay, I just inserted application there since okay, let's start from the beginning. Flask is a lightweight Python web framework with useful tools and features for creating web application in Python. SQL Alchemy is an SQL toolkit that offers efficient and high performing database access for relational databases. It supplies ways to interact with several databases such as database engines such as SQLite, MySQL, PostgreSQL. By providing access to the databases, SQL make queries and handle data using simple Python objects and methods. Flask SQL Alchemy is a Flask extension that makes using SQL Alchemy with Flask easier, providing tools and methods to interact with your database in your Flask applications. Flask provides a way to build a small web application quickly with one Python file. Okay. However, a small application can grow into a large application with multiple database tables, hundreds of routes, and more complex features. Writing the code for a large application in one file will quickly becomes messy and hard to manage. Flask allows you to organize your application's code base by splitting each of the application's major parts into a specific file called routes.py. Okay, social media application. Okay, inside a directory called users. Okay, for example, in social media application you might have the routes for users, okay, in a file called routes.py inside a directory called route users. Okay, got it. And you might then collect the database models for users inside a module called users.py. Okay, got it. So here routes.py will contain the routes, all the routes, and users.py is basically contains the model, I mean the database definition or schema you can say, inside a models directory. Okay, so the model should be inside the models directory. Okay, then you can do the same for posts. Okay, follower, hashtags, questions, answers, ads, and marketplace, the marketplace, payments, and other features in your large social media applications. If you want to edit some business logic into the payment code, you can change the database code for payment in a file located in the my social app models payment.py. Okay, so model folder basically contains all the models, route contains all the routes. Okay, then change the business logic in a file located at my social app payments routes each part of the application into easy to manage components. This structure also helps familiarize you new developer with your application so that they know where to troubleshoot an issue or add a new feature. Okay, Flask provides a feature called blueprints for making application components. In the prior example you can use okay, since I'm following this article for the first time or series of the article for the first time, so I'm not aware of the previous article which this line basically mentioning. So let's move forward. In the proper example you can use blueprints to structure your large social media application with different blueprints, such as users blueprint, blueprint for posts, one for followers, and so on for each feature. Okay, so we have to explore what actually blueprints library do in Flask. In this tutorial, you will use Flask blueprints to structure a web application with three components: the main blueprint containing the home page and the other main routes, and post blueprint for managing blog posts. Okay, and a question blueprint for questioning questions and answers. Okay, prerequisites. What are prerequisites for these articles? A local Python 3 development on which, yes, I have, you can set up. Okay, and understanding of basic Flask concepts such as routes, view functions, and templates. If you're not familiar with Flask, check out. I have already done few small projects in Flask, though I think I'm aware of those concepts. And understanding of basic HTML concept. You can view reviewer. Okay, I got it. And understanding of basic Flask SQL alchemy concepts such as setting up a database, creating database models, and inserting data into the database. See how? Okay, for background knowledge. Okay, let's move forward. The target application structure. By the end of the tutorial, you will have built a Flask application with the following structure. Okay, so let's see the structure once. So this is the main directory, Flask app. Now here we can see there is an app folder, and app.db and compute.py is there, two files in the root directory. And inside the root directory there is an app directory which basically contains extensions.py, okay, init.py, and there is a main folder which contains routes. And so I think this main is basically home page, which the article refers somewhere here. It will be somewhere. Okay, we'll see. Main folder which has routes.py and int.py. Models basically contains models for post.py and question.py. Post basically contains route and init. Okay, question also contains the same routes and init. And template basically contains the template, HTML templates with Jinja syntax inside it. And post basically contains, okay, so there are another folder inside template, I'm sorry, posts, categories.html and index.html, and there is a folder called questions. So inside the question folder is inside the template directory itself. Now let's look how this code is structured here. Flask app directory. Okay, let me reset my timer. Okay, so inside your Flask app, directory, you have an app.db. okay, as you can see, database file. So this app.db is nothing but a SQLite database file, okay, and a configuration file for a Flask application. The main Flask application will be in the app directory, okay, which will have an init.py special file to make a package for imports to work properly, okay, and it will contain a function for creating a Flask application instance. Got it? Okay, the app directory will contain an extension.py, okay, file for managing the Flask application. Okay, let's make a notes out of it. Okay, let me open my editor. I have to go to the same directory here as well. Oh, sorry. Let's struc structured app. We can name the directory like this. Now let's create a readme.md. Now let's slap the same. This is my personal notes, mind you. I'm just going to put the chunks from here here and there from that particular article, so it will be easy if in future I want to revisit the concept or revisit the app structure. Okay, structure. Now let's put those point. Flask app. Okay, appdb database file. Okay, appdb is a database file. It's like this only. I'm just making a simple note for myself. app.db and config.py. config.py basically contains configuration for Flask app. Okay, the main Flask application will be in app directory init.py special files. Okay, app directory contains extension.py file for managing Flask extension you will use in your application. Okay, I'm sorry guys again. I think I have to drink water between the stream, otherwise I'm going to continue burp a lot. Not burping, I don't know what it is called in English. Kind of, I'm feeling kind of lethargic, you can say. I'm not able to find the proper word of that activity. The app directory will contain extension.py for file for managing the Flask application, and you will use in your application in this tutorial. Okay, Flask alchemy is the example of using Flask extension. Okay, in this tutorial Flask alchemy is the example. Okay, so Flask extension basically they are referring to library, I guess. Okay, you also have the following directories. Okay, main, post, questions, models and templates, as we can see here. Main, post, models, questions and templates. The templates directory. Okay, so let's see what those directory actually contains. Okay, the main blueprint for main routes. Okay, the main directory contains blueprint for the main routes, such as the home page. The posts blueprint for managing blog posts. Okay, the question blueprint for managing questions and answers. The directory that contains Flask alchemy models. The templates directory that will contain files for the main blueprint and directory for each blueprint. Installing. Okay, installing. Okay, we'll do that. Flask SQL alchemy. Okay, now let's start with the first line. This is the main coding part. Okay, now let's change to this particular directory. Now let's create a virtual environment. Wait a second. Okay, I think I have to disable my antivirus, I guess. Okay, cool, no error this time. Now let's activate the environment. Oops, should be activate.ps1. since I'm using PowerShell, so the command should be ps1. Okay, now it's activated. Now let's install pip3 install. Okay, Flask and Flask SQL alchemy. Okay, now I have got an antivirus error. I think I have to disable my bad antivirus. Okay, let's disable it for 1 hour. Cool. Now I think our app Flask is installed here. Flask library is installed. Now what we have to do in this, you will create a configuration. Okay, got it. Now step 2 is that we have to create a configuration file. Okay, so for that we have to create config.py and put all these things. Okay, the configuration is separating your application settings from the rest of the application. Okay, so what this is going to do, you will create a configuration file for your Flask application, separating your application settings from the rest of the application and making changing settings easier. The configuration file will configure such things as secrets. Okay, database. Okay, so it basically contains all the settings, nothing else. In your Flask app directory, open a new file. Okay, we can do config.py. Yeah, config.py. Okay, now we have to provide all these things. Can open them side by side. What it should be. Okay, import OS. Okay, one more other thing is that I'm going to type every code. Base dir. It's a really good practice. OS dot path dot abs path. Okay, OS dot path dot dir name file. Correct. Now we have to define. Oh, what is this? Now just define a class here. Config secret key necessarity. Okay, correct. Okay, so we are basically putting the secret key inside the environment variable E, and it's basically reading the secret from environment variable. Okay, necessarity secret key is there. What is this, bro? Okay, got it. SQL lche alchemy database URI os dot environ get database URI. Okay, what is happening here? So this code is basically, or we are basically using here, or either. So either it will take from database URI, what is happening? Okay, or SQLite. Okay, it means it's referring to the local directory dot os dot path dot join base dir. So base dir basically it's referring to the current directory where the config.py file is residing. app.db. Okay, correct. Now SQL alchemy. Okay, it should be not like SQL track modifications false. SQL alchemy track modifications false. Correct. Now save and close the file. Got it. Now let's open our Vim editor. It will be like this. So right now we have a config file here. Now let's move to the main article. What it is saying, you import. Okay, got these things. Module. Okay, you use a class called config. Okay, we not use, basically we define that particular class and set the configuration. Secret key along random string used to Flask as a secret by Flask secret key or key used to secure the sessions. And okay, so this is for securing the sessions with the Flask. A long random string used by Flask as a secret key or a key used to secure the sessions that remember information from one request to another. The request. Okay, once again, where it is? Where are we? Okay, the user can access the information stored in the session but cannot modify it unless they have the secret key. So you must never allow anyone to access your secret key. See Flask documentation sessions. Okay, we can see this one. If you have set Flask secret key, you can use session in Flask application. A session makes it possible to remember information from one request to another. The way Flask does this by using a signed cookie. The user can look at the session contents but can't modify unless they know the secret key. So make sure to see that set that hello. Okay, sorry, something complex and unguessable. Sorry, there is a lot of noise outside my room because someone is fighting, I guess. I have to change this because there are a lot of college folks living here and they do a lot of noise. You know what I mean, bachelor kids. Okay, so basically what we are going to do is okay, this is the documentation. Okay, I get the basic idea behind session keys. Now let's move on to the main article. Okay, this is the simple stuff. Okay, now SQL Alchemy, the database URI specific for specifies the database you want to stabilize a connection with using SQL Alchemy. In this case, you either get it from your database URI environment variable or you set a default value. The default URI value here follows the format SQLite path to DFDB. You use the path os-path.join function to join the base data directory you constructed and stored in the database variable in the appdb. One second guys, let me have a sip of water. I think I had to buy a good water bottle. Cool. You use the os path join function to pin the base data directory you constructed and stored in base dir variable and the appdb file name. With this, creating a Flask application without setting a database URI, database will connect to an appdb. Okay, got it. I think I got all the points. Now let's move on to this one, what this thing is used for. SQL Alchemy track modifications, a configuration to enable or disable tracking modifications of objects. You set it to false, disable tracking, and use less memory. For example, you can read the configuration page. Sorry, SQL Alchemy documentation. Okay, we can see what it is. Okay, we'll dive into these details later, but let's move on for now. Okay, you will not set a secret key in this tutorial because you will not use functionality that needs a secret key. However, if you need to set a secret key, you can set it as follows. Okay, got it. Okay, so this is the way to set the secret keys. And this is how you set a PostgreSQL if you have one. Okay, or you can hard code it, no issues. Creating a Flask application factory. Okay, in this step you are going to create a Flask application factory, which is a Python function that sets up a Flask application instance. At this point in the tutorial, your Flask application directory structure is as follows, including a virtual environment directory, okay, which is in our case venv, if you can see. Oh sorry, we are in the wrong directory. Where it is, this is the notes, this is the one. Not this is the one guys, where it went. 1 second, let me see. So this is the environment directory. This is our code which we recently wrote, config.py. So the article is referring to basically this these two files. Readme I just wrote for myself for future reference. Now your application core code will live inside a project directory, which will be a Python package. Okay, in this tutorial we will call it app, but you can use your project name or another common directory name such as src core or something similar. You will make the folder containing the application core code of Python package so that import work correctly throughout the code base and to increase its maintainability. To make app project directory or Python package, you will create a special init.py file. Okay, got it. Directory package inside. Okay, this init.py will hold code of your. Okay. So this init.py file basically hold code for Flask factory function, which is a function I'll use to set and create the Flask application instance. When you link all your Flask blueprint together, the think of the factory function as the central function in which all your Flask components or blueprints are combined into one application that you can use to create different Flask application instance for a different purpose with different configuration. For example, you can use the factory function to create a Flask application instance for testing the proper configuration for testing. Okay, inside your Flask app directory, create this new app directory. Okay, let's do that from the reader itself. Once again, let me readjust the display. We'll create an app directory, and inside that app directory we are going to create init.py. And the code inside init.py should be this code should be inside the init.py. Okay, so basically let's start writing this code from Flask import Flask from config import config. Okay, spelling mistake here. Now it's cool. Now we are going to do. Now this is basically defining a function create app. Cool. And we are basically passing that class config as an argument. That config class config, sorry, as config. So you remember what is this, right? From config import config. So this config file is basically referring to this. Okay, let me check. Where is the structure? App init.py. Cool. From config import config. Cool. Now I think it got resolved. And what we have to put? Okay, now we have to define the Flask app, Flask app instance, you can say. enemy, sorry guys, and app.config from object. Okay, let's make it full screen. I'm just writing the code actually. From object config class. Okay, so we are basically loading the config from config class, as if you can see. App config from object config class. Okay, there is a mistake, silly mistake which I have done. Now it's cool. Okay, mention here, restore blueprints here. Now let's comment, leave some comment here. Is this one? No, this is initialize Flask extension here. Oops. And register blueprints here. Now app.route test. This is basically defining the route. Test page. Return h1 testing the Flask application factory. Pattern h1 close. Cool. Now what it is saying, dev. Okay, test page. Now we have to do return app. Okay, so basically we're returning the app. Now it's done. Save and close. Now let's move to the article itself. Now if you can see what we have done here. Okay, in this file you import the Flask class from the Flask package. Okay, referring to this one, sorry. Then you import the configuration class from the config. Okay, this line and created the Flask app directory inside the and created in the okay, got it. Create app function. Okay, this is function. Create function is a function, Flask app factory function. Let's look at what it is actually. If you are already using packages and blueprint with your application, there are a couple of really nice ways to further improve the experience. A common pattern is to creating the application object when the blueprint is imported, but okay, so this is the class functions. Let's finish this up and then we'll move. Okay, cool. A common pattern is creating the application object when the blueprint is imported, but if you move the creation of the object into a function, you can then create multiple instances of the app later. Okay. A common pattern is creating the application object when the blueprint is important, but if you creation of this object into a function, you can create multiple instances of the app later. So why you want to do this testing? You can have instance of the application with a different settings to test. Okay, test in every case. Multiple instance, imagine you want to run different version of the same application. Of course you could have multiple instances and different config setup in your web server, but if you use the factories, you can have multiple instances of the same application running in the same application process, which can be handy. So how would you then actually implement that beside basic factories? Okay, the idea is to set up the application in a function like this. Okay, create app, got it. Config file name, so basically we are loading config from the particular config class, config.py class, config class, sorry. And this is from database, from your application model. Okay, got it. So it's basic logic. Okay, they're registering blueprints here. We can do the same. So that's the basic idea behind the app factory. Now we'll revisit this article later. Now let's move on to the next. Okay, app.config object name from object. So you configure the application by importing configuration values from an object using the app config from object, passing the value of config class parameter, which loads the config class as a default value. You will initialize your Flask extension below. The initialize Flask extension here, comment register comment and register your application blueprints below. Comment once you create them. Okay, you can create a test route using the app route decorator. Okay, this is basically decorator inside the factory function to demonstrate how to register routes inside application factories. In this case, the test page view function returns the heading testing the Flask application factory pattern. Lastly, the create app factory function return the function instance application instance you constructed with the line return app. Okay, got it. Flask will automatically detect the create app, okay, factory function in your app package and uses it to create an application instance, but you will have to set the environment variable required to run your Flask application in development mode first. Okay, while in your Flask app directory with your virtual environment activated, you will tell Flask where the factory function is by passing the core applications directory name app as a value to the Flask app environment variable. Got it. So basically we have to provide the core application directory name to the Flask application as an environment variable as Flask application app. And also we have to provide the Flask env environment variable to development to run the application in development mode to get access to the debugger. Got it. For more information about the Flask debuggers, you can click here. I will see about it. Oh, sorry. First, set up the package as the place where Flask should look for create app factory. So we have to export this. 1 second. Let me open another terminal, which I already have. I think I have to load the environments here. Structured app, env scripts activate dot. Okay, now it's got activated. Now what we have to do, is okay, set what we have to set, basically Flask app is equal to app. Got it, done. Now you may be used to building your application in single Python file called app.py. In this case, you also use the same command to tell Flask where they are located. Okay, the difference here is that app in the preceding command is for the project core directory where you have your init file. Got it. Flask new env. Now let's set up this one as well. Should be Flask env, should be development. Okay, now let's run. It should be Flask run. Cool, now it's running. Now let's open this page. Why it is saying 404? So if I'm loading this, then it is saying 404. Okay, now let's check why it's saying 404. With the development server running, visit the following. Okay, so basically we set the route as test, so I think we have to put the test here. Cool, testing the Flask. Got it, it's working really fine, nice. So that's really good. Actually, you have now created a Flask application factory function. Next, you will create function blueprint and register them in the factory function. So that's the thing we have followed along until step 3. Now step 4 should be implementing the Flask blueprints, and after that we have to do what we have to do exactly. Let me check. Okay, we have to do a ton of things after this. Now let's make a small notes regarding what actually we have done this in this code. Let me open my notes as well as let's sorry. So making notes is very important. Okay, so these two are configuration file and app folder. App folder will contain the Flask application main Flask application. The Flask application what it is called, factory registration or something. The Flask app factory registration code, registration REGISTRAT and registration code in init dot, it should be in init dot py, which loads the configuration from config.py. okay, config.py, config class. We can also mention this one. Okay, and the other bullet point should be create. Okay, and running the application, you can see running the application. It should be set up the environment variables. Set or export Flask app name, app directory name which holds app factory registration code. Okay, now the second should be which is in this case app, so it should be set Flask app is equal to app. The second should be environment name, set export Flask env equals development. Okay, now the next we are going to implement, we can put basic app structure. Now the second should be implementing blueprints. We can put the link here. Actually it will be easy for us to follow through the next step. Okay, let me copy this and put it into this notes. Great. Okay guys, so I think this is enough for today. Now in 15 minutes I have to go to office, so okay, so that's all for today guys. We will meet tomorrow and continue with the streaming from today where I left this. Okay, bye then. Good night, good evening, good afternoon.